Well, for more on the latest Brexit obstacles, I spoke to Lewis Lloyd in London. He's a researcher working on the Brexit team at the Institute for Government. And I began by asking him, with so much gone wrong, what can Prime Minister May do at this stage?
Well, she can try, as she is doing, to get some movement from the EU. But I think, as we've just heard, that is very, very unlikely, particularly on the substantive issue of how you can make sure this backstop is not permanent. I mean, what people in Parliament are looking for is ideally some way that they can unilaterally revoke the backstop, and that is something that the EU, quite frankly, from what we've seen, is just not going to accept. So that's the first plan. If she can't do that, then I suppose she has to sort of hope for some soft, kind words from Brussels to try and, some extra reassurances to try and get it over the line in the UK Parliament. But it's frankly not clear that's going to be enough.
So as we look at some of these options, there's a potential for a no-deal Brexit, a no-confidence vote against Prime Minister May, revoking Article 50, even talk of a second Brexit referendum. What's the most likely outcome based on current events?
We've been hearing reports that 48 Tory MPs have submitted letters saying that they are not confident in the Prime Minister. 48 is the threshold that needs to be passed for there to be a leadership contest in the Conservative Party in the UK. So, I mean, those reports have not been fully confirmed, but that's what we're currently hearing. So my sense at the moment is the most likely course of action is that there could well be a new Conservative Party leader, or at least there will need to be some contest in the coming weeks to work out who that might be. If those reports are unfounded, then things really are very up in the air. I think the thing is that Labour, who really would be the party to lay a motion of no confidence before Parliament, don't think that they have the numbers to make that stick. There are still, they still don't have sort of the support from other politicians in Parliament to make sure that Theresa May's government would be brought down. So I think they at least will be playing a waiting game. And yeah, as you say, there is always the risk of no deal, and that is the default position. And I think we have to remember that if nothing is agreed in Parliament, then on the 29th of March, we will leave with no deal. And that's always there in the background. I would say the risk of that has gone up slightly since the delay to this vote, but, still probably not the most likely, given there isn't a majority for it in the UK Parliament.
Now, we know that the European Commission is expected to publish fresh no-deal warnings next week. So how would we see the consequences of a no-deal Brexit play out in the UK's economy?
For services, arguably, market access loss would be even more dramatic, because at the moment, as part of the EU market, actually, at least in some services, such as financial services, they have a much wider range of access than they would once out. It's very difficult, though, to know, other than the fact that it will be severe in the near term, what it will look like in the next 10 to 20 years. I mean, some say that it could be, a sort of 7% hit to the UK economy, which would be really very, very bad. Others feel that over time, perhaps it may kind of work its way out.
Not just for Britain, but perhaps other countries who may have been considering leaving the EU. What sort of message does how all this is playing out send?
Well, there's been quite a lot of discussion of this as to whether part of the reason why the EU is looking to make it difficult for the UK is to disincentivise other countries from trying to follow the same path. I'm not sure that that is true. I mean, definitely it seems as though the process has been particularly hard fought, and I can't imagine any other EU country looking at it and thinking, hey, that's something we really want to go for. And you can make the case quite strongly, I think, that the Prime Minister has not handled this especially well, and I'm sure that there are other governments in the EU, if they do lean towards leaving the bloc, that think that they could handle it much better.